Hey, this is the Well Advice Channel too. What I want to talk about today is the truth about the Afghanistan 2025 earthquake. Okay, the earthquake that actually just happened today, September 1st, 2025. And when it comes to obviously something like a tragedy like this, obviously this is a bad thing that happened. Things like this for that matter. Okay. There is, like anything that bad that happens, a lesson to be learned, okay, from this, okay? I'm not blaming, of course, the victims, but I'm just talking about when it comes to government and stuff like that, okay? And that's what I'll be talking about for this video. So anyway, now that I mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the lesson that is to learn from the situation, like what's happening in Afghanistan, so first, 2025, the situation that's happening in Afghanistan where even hundreds of people, and I'm certain there's going to be a lot more people who are found dead, if anything, from this situation, for that matter, okay? And the lesson is, when situations like this happen, this is why it is good for nations and people to strive to do the best they can do, to be the best that they can freaking be in life, okay? In other words, nations should strive to do their best, let alone people for that matter, to try to become, get the best experience, okay? In other words, strive to do their best so they become powerful, okay? To the point that they can become like a first world nation, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, in this world we live in, especially for us living in a first world nations, and stuff, we tend to have a culture, if anything, that kind of glamorizes living in third world nations, okay? Because nothing really happens, here, in like freaking Kansas, city in America. But at the same time, even though nothing really happens there, and yes, of course, it's not going to be war, it's much better than obviously living in a poor country where there's a bunch of crime and all that type of stuff. And when a natural disaster happens, which I could easily tell you, and just in general imagine, for that matter, is one of the least glamorous ways to die. A natural disaster happens in a poor nation. You don't have to worry if you live in Kansas City, of having a massive situation happen where anywhere from hundreds, thousands, even more people end up dying from it. Okay, Kansas City might have its issues, but at the same time, you don't have, you're going to get access to warnings in advance. You're going to have decent infrastructure, so if something does happen, like a tornado, I don't know, whatever happens in Kansas, or a really bad natural storm, you'll be able to survive instead of being in a situation where people just drop dead like flies, like a lot of these natural disasters in these poor nations, okay? And that's the truth of the matter when it comes to situations like this, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, being in a first world nation has okay? Yes, it gets boring sometimes, nothing really happens for that matter, but you can always find new things to do. You can always find sports and find better ways to entertain yourself. And you just work on what you want to do with your life, so your life is actually enjoyable and actually interesting for that matter, okay? Instead of living in a nation where, nothing really happens, for that matter, when it comes to anything good, just badness all the time, and that's exactly what I feel the learning lesson should be, for people to learn, okay? Because this is more specifically when it comes to the point in this video, it's more something that's kind of meant to kind of open a mind to certain individuals who might live in foreign nations, whether it's Afghanistan or any place, why you should strive to do your best to get the most out of life. I mean, to strive to do your best to improve your nation for that matter, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, when it comes to poverty, for that matter, it's really nothing glamorous about it. It is just hell. It is just shit, to be even more exact, to be honest with you. Just absolute shit. war, so you get taken advantage of by poor nations and stuff, and have a lot of things happen, a lot of diseases, and all sorts of things, and just in general, like the situation in Afghanistan, something happens and you can't really do anything about it. Let alone the many other issues life has. Even just straight up if a war happens, if your nation is poor, what the fuck are you gonna do about it? Like, especially if it's a powerful nation, for that matter. And history has shown in just there's nothing more humiliating than losing war to another nation. History has shown that numerous times. When it comes to mass humiliation of any nation, losing war is the biggest one of all, and that's the truth of the matter. To be quite blunt and honest with you. So if you want to avoid all those things that are susceptible to, whether it be war or even just natural disasters, which obviously are not very empowering things for a nation to experience, for that matter, okay? This is why people should strive, for the people who are listening, if you have potential, you should strive to be the best you can be for things, to help develop your nation, for that matter, okay? Is it easier said than done? Of course, but striving to do the best you can be, you can do to help your nation and develop your nation, for that matter, is something you should do, because this is something that's a big problem in the world today. A lot of people are so obsessed with just being okay, or in other words, to be more exact, are so obsessed with being afraid of being a nerd. Oh, I'm a nerd, I'm so intelligent and this and that. But the thing about a nation, if there was ever a nation that was actually run by very intelligent people or nerds, who a lot of us in mainstream society, even in poor or rich nations like first world nations, and of course, we would at least imagine people would be smarter and more intelligent for that matter, because it's richer and so on and so forth, and supposedly better educated, they tend to make fun of them. But when you look at actually intelligent people, if they actually ran shit, do you really think a lot of things that are happening in the world would happen? For that matter, all the issues we have, or just anything any nation could experience, for that matter, to be more exact, would happen? No. If Afghanistan was run by very intelligent people, which you're definitely not, this situation would have never happened, for that matter, okay? So that's why nations of people, for that matter, specifically the ones who have potential, should strive to be the best they can be for things, okay? But some nations of people, nations, for that matter, even developed nations have a lot of people, are just okay with things being okay and not doing their best they can do academically to reach their full potential, if anything. They're just more focused on, I just want to live a decent life, or when it comes to academic potential, for example, I just want to be okay at things. But if you're just okay at things, you're not going to really get anywhere or do anything for that matter. And that's what I'm trying to say here. And that's why some nations are so poor. One of the reasons, at least, some nations are so poor and some nations are so rich. You want to strive to be the best you can be, because at the end of the day, if you reach your full potential and you do the best you can do in life, for anything for that matter, whether it could be building better buildings so things like this don't happen, or anything for that matter, okay? You don't have to worry about fucking anything, just like you're pretty much at a level where it's like you don't have to worry about anything for that matter. And that's the truth of the matter, because I hear in a lot of nations, especially nations of color, unfortunately, this whole way of thinking, why do you worry about that? Why do you have to worry about being about all these issues and this and that? But if you have that way of thinking, then things like this happen. A lot of poor nations have this way of thinking that if you're actually very intelligent or really good at something, it's just not really necessary. It's just okay to be just okay at things. But if you have that way of thinking, and you continue to have that way of thinking, for that matter, then things like this kind of happen, for that matter, okay? And that's exactly the reason why a lot of these type of things happen, not just in Afghanistan, but a lot of parts of the world. People are just not driven to do the best they can do, and if you are driven to do the best you can do to run a nation, whether it's you or just individuals, things like this wouldn't happen, And that's the truth of the matter. It's just an ignorant mindset I hear all the time from people academically at least. So anyway, this is my video. I hope you found it informative and interesting. And just remember, if there's anything to learn from this video, do the best you can do. And when you do the best you can do, you're pretty much, in a sense, kind of God. And you don't have to worry about anything for that matter, because everything will go your way. So anyway, this is all I have to say. And simply put it, I'm out. And bye. And that's all. Later.